Welcome to your astrological forecast for the week of Monday, September 9th through Sunday, September 15th, 2024. This week is kind of, on the one hand, it's a quiet week, but on the other hand, it is very meaningful and very symbolic astrologically. This is a turning point. We are pivoting. And I know I said that the last couple of weeks, but this is different because it's like how do I phrase this? We're kind of pivoting from the pivoting phase. We've been in a transitional phase for really much of August and the first little bit of September, but now we're transitioning from the transitional phase. Does that make sense? And let me kind of put this into context. Maybe this will help to illustrate this. Where we're going is much different. The rest of this month and much of October as well will be very dramatic, and that's because we are moving into eclipse season. So this week, this is the last week before we really kickstart eclipse season with that full moon lunar eclipse next week. And also there are kind of, how do I put this? Mercury retrograde is finally concluding its entire cycle this week. I know Mercury's been direct since August 28th, but Mercury will not only leave its post shadow this week, but Mercury will also enter Virgo. So that's kind of what I'm saying, where when I say that we're very much leaving that transitional phase. All of August and really the first week of September were marked by, Mercury retrograding back into Leo and hanging out there, and then, slowly moving direct. And it's really been a very kind of slower time. It's all been about soul searching. It's been very dysfunctional. I know I've definitely felt that myself. We've been in an awkward phase, really, for the last 5 weeks or so. So good news is we are leaving that, and the good, or maybe the bad news, is things will intensify in the near future. So I just wanted to show you a couple charts, and really it's my intention to keep this forecast very brief. As always, if you are interested in getting a reading, definitely do that. My website information and my email are in the description. You can purchase readings from my website. Make sure to email me your necessary birth information. Can I be honest? I feel like I've been so stuttery really for the last 2 to 3 weeks, and I'm not exactly sure why. I think part of it is this, Mercury slowing down. This Mercury retrograde really caught me off guard. It was even more intense than I thought it was, and I think many others felt the same as well. So again, good news, we are moving away from that. Couple charts I wanted to show you. Monday, September 9th. This is the chart that shows what the stars look like as we are beginning this week. It's also the chart that shows you Mercury leaving Leo. So I think that's very exciting. Definitely for me personally, but also on a universal level. Mercury is exalted in Virgo. So it's a more naturally kind of easier placement or transit to embrace. With Mercury in Virgo, the information, the communication is much more direct. It's more linear. It's easier to understand. And I really think this is a huge day for, moving past all this kind of weirdness, for lack of a better word, in August. August was really dominated by Mercury retrograde. The entire month of August, Mercury was either retrograde or it was stationing retrograde or stationing direct, if you really think about it. So really the entire month of August was dysfunctional. We were going backward. Everything was just so chaotic, and ideally we were learning a lot about our past and situations that we thought we had left behind, but none of that was really fun, if that makes sense. So this is one major day for moving forward, moving past all of this kind of baggage, and moving in a much more direct way, much more familiar kind of way. Now we have Venus Venus has been in domicile in Libra, which has been a blessing for sure. Now Mercury is also in exaltation. Mercury's at home. So with two inner planets in exaltation and or in domicile, that is very beautiful. That brings us a little bit of normalcy for the time being. We do have, of course, Mars debilitated, and I won't get into the outer planets right now, but Mercury and Venus are content, I guess you could say. Technically, Mercury is still in the very last few degrees of the post shadow, so that means that we're still wrapping up those themes that we were dealing with in August. We're wrapping those up, moving forward, moving through those kind of dysfunctional issues or topics, but in a much more functional and direct way. Going forward to Wednesday, September 11th, we actually have a first quarter moon at 19 degrees Sagittarius today. So you can see moon in the early morning Eastern Standard Time when the moon is at 19 degrees Sagittarius. It will make a first quarter square to the sun at 19 degrees Virgo. So I always mention quarter moons because first quarter moons in particular, I would really go as far as to say that this is the most volatile part of the entire lunar cycle, maybe even more so than the full moon, especially when you get a fire first quarter moon like this. This lunar aspect is all about action, moving forward. This is really a new beginning and a much more dramatic way than the new moon is. A week, we always have a first quarter moon 1 week after the new moon. So the new moon a week ago began something kind of more on a non-physical level. So something, there was a new idea, new feeling, something was beginning, off behind the scenes somewhere. Now, a week later, today on Wednesday, September 11th, this is where that new beginning really begins in a much more physical, much more visceral way. This is all about taking action. It's about changing something. In particular, with this one, with Sun in Virgo, Moon in Sagittarius, these are both mutable signs. So we're very much focused on learning. I was just talking in a reading yesterday about how all the mutable signs in one way or another are focused on learning. So with both the sun and the moon kind of clashing from these two mutable signs, how can we learn? How can we change ourselves? Maybe change our thinking or change our lifestyle in some kind of way. We all have some area of our lives that we need to change right now with this first quarter moon. It just depends on where it is in your chart, and that will correspond to the part of your life that you need to change or take action with. So specifically, where does 19 degrees Sagittarius fall in your chart? Whatever house that's in, that will show where you need to make that change in your life. Also today, Mercury reaches 3 degrees Virgo, so that means that it leaves the post shadow. And I'm not going to go into a lot of heavy detail on what the post shadow is. I really think it's the least important, but I did want to mention it though. Basically, Mercury is now at the place where it was at when it turned retrograde on August 2nd. So it's taken, a whole 5 weeks or so to get to this point, station retrograde, go way back into Leo, and then station direct, and then catch up all the way back to where it was. So this really marks the point where we are truly moving forward. We're truly going to be in new territory moving forward from this day. Mercury is, at full speed ahead, moving into uncharted territory. And I think, again, this is kind of a godsend because this is much easier for the 87% of us that were born with Mercury direct in our charts. This is a much easier energy for us than Mercury retrograde is. And even during the Mercury post shadow that we've just been experiencing over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, even that is, Mercury has been direct, so we have been moving forward, but we've still been dealing with those the past issues, the past baggage, because, Mercury has still been, it still had to traverse that same area that it went backward over, if that makes sense. So we've still been dealing with those same themes, just in a more direct way. But now things will be truly refreshed, truly moving forward. And really the astrology is paving the way for some very exciting, very dramatic changes that are going to be starting as early as next week. And this is the closing chart. This is the chart for the end of the week for Sunday, September 15th, just in case you wanted to look at it. But that's pretty much all I had to say for this week. I hope you have a fantastic week, and definitely tune in next week because, again, next week's forecast will cover a full moon lunar eclipse on September 17th. And we also have the sun entering Libra. So we've got that equinox and, changing seasons, changing quadrants, I guess you could say. Lots of change starting next week. So I hope you join me and hang out with me next week. Even though I've been stuttering and awkward lately, I really appreciate you guys. Okay, but thanks so much for listening and have a great week. Talk to you later.